Hello, everybody. This is your host, Mia. Thank you for tuning in and listening to another episode of the one and only Soul Wave Podcast. Enjoy. Yo, guys. It's been a fucking day. Oh my goodness, it's been a day. So, for context, this is my second episode of the day. I made one before. I was outside on the deck, enjoying a little Prosecco, listening to people mowing their fucking lawns, and the birds, and the wind, and, I dived in about, the hyper-independent woman, and the lack of safety in the environments where there's masculine, and that's why we're so hyper independent, and how it's no one's fault though, because the feminine's been wounded by the masculine for as long as I could remember, even before, and the masculine has just been brought up that way, going back to tribal times, all of that. That was such a sigh of exhaustion. I also mentioned in that episode about how today I was on a call with my spiritual mentor / therapist / shrink / best friend, all the above, this wonderful, wonderful lady who's just been my fucking rock to help me open doors in my psyche and gift me new perspectives on just myself and how to go through life. I started off the session, talking about money and my issues with manifesting it and my sense of self-worth around it. And then we ended on doing some inner child healing in regards to relationships and men. And I'm sitting here with no intention to make another episode. Honestly, I took a nap because I was feeling that Prosecco, and then I woke up and I watched a little bit of Friends. I ate some food, and I just wanted to sit with myself with my oracle cards. And I'm staring at this picture across the living room because I'm at my grandfather's house. So he has pictures of all his grandkids. And there's actually a picture of myself from this time period of my life that was actually brought up during the session. It's just a soccer picture. And you can see in my eyes how lost I was. How I was burdening something that I didn't know how to express or process, and how I just hid it. But my eyes could tell you it all. And I'm sitting here and I'm playing, I don't want to use the word playing. I'm talking to the oracle cards. Just asking what's next. And these cards were coming out, and I was trying to be more conscious of the negative voice in my head, this critic, or not even the critic, but little 5th, 6th grade Mia who thinks she needs to protect me still, which I adore her for, but I'm trying to make her feel safe enough to hand me the reins. And it hasn't been an easy journey. Another reason why I do what I do and why I make podcast episodes is because I've been asking the same questions you guys been asking. When you listen to stuff like this or you hear about it, about the thought of healing, or even entertaining the idea that maybe we need healing. So what does it even look like? Where do you even start? So I'm going to invite you to listen to this conversation that I'm about to have with my 5th or 6th year old self. 5th or 6th grade year old self. My apologies. I mentioned on the other podcast I recorded today how when I get a crush, it's like crack. And I will spend so much of my time thinking about them and having conversations in my head about what I would love to tell them or something that made me think of them, something I get really excited to share about that I think they would enjoy. And I feel so much shame. Like it's hard to even say out loud because, I don't know, maybe you guys are listening and you think, that's so silly, Mia. That's adorable. Or you're like, this bitch is batshit crazy. Whatever. It doesn't matter what you think. But I'm in my head, though, and I'm just like exhausted from having to constantly make the conscious effort to stop myself from doing that. Because there's something inside of me that feels like it's aware that that's just going to get me hurt. But the more I think about these people, the more I fantasize or crush or make up these silly little scenarios, the deeper my claws are going to sink into the flesh. And when it doesn't work out, it hurts like hell. But she said something really insightful. She said, maybe the reason for those fantasies and the insane dopamine hits your body gets off of doing that is because it's easier than actually engaging with them physically, so they don't trigger the shame that's actually buried underneath. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I'm like, this chick is good. This chick is good. I'm like, would have never thought about that. I would have been like, yeah, maybe control issues, but to like peel back 5 more layers of that onion. Right before we got to that revelation, it felt like she had me sit with myself, close my eyes, and think back to a time where I remember the first time being obsessive over a crush. And I had to be in like 1st grade, and I had this chalkboard, whiteboard, easel in my room, and I had one of the sides facing my wall so you couldn't see it when you walked in. And I wrote my 1st grade crush's name all over the back of it. One of my older friends from the block found it and told my dad, and it was such an embarrassing moment for me as a 1st grader. I was so upset. I was so embarrassed. I felt so guilty. But I didn't even do anything wrong. I was just a little 1st grader in love. But it really, I apologize. I will be crying on this episode. It really frustrated me to think that a little girl was shamed for the way she loves at that age. I started crying because it hurt. And immediately I get taken to another time in 5th grade where I again liked a kid. he wound up asking me out, but I was so young and naive. I didn't know how to do a relationship back then. Never saw him the entire summer until my best friend at the time told me that they kissed. And I was like, wow, you're a shitty best friend. And then a few weeks later, my dad found my messages on my phone after I had quote unquote broken up with him. But I don't know, not really, because we actually like really never dated. Literally never saw the kid the entire summer. And my dad was like, you have a boyfriend? What did I tell you about dating? Yada yada. Long story short, I remember the terror I felt when my heart hit my stomach when he found out. And the embarrassment and the hurt and how I felt like a failure. I felt like someone else was chosen over me, so rejected. And it was in those 2 moments where ever since then, I have this foundation with these bricks that have so many cracks in it, and every crack is from shame. And again, frustration arose in that moment about 4 hours ago where I'm like, dude, my dad is not a terrible person, but in this moment right now, I hate him so much. Call me a simp, but I feel honestly all I really want to do is love. I want to love the life I'm living and what I do and the feeling of purpose. I want to love my friends, my family, and the freedom. And I want to love a partner, an equal. But that and on the other podcast, money seems to be the 2 things I struggle with the most. And that when every time it doesn't work out between me and a guy, no matter how many times I tell myself, well, Mia, it's part of the journey, it's part of the plot, it's a little spicy. You know, he was just another lesson for the next one, so you're better. And it wasn't wasted time, it wasn't a mistake. I feel like a failure. I feel like I let myself down and I let my dad down. So during this session, my 5th and 6th grade year old, that doesn't make any sense. 5th, 6th grade self, the one in the picture, sitting down on my knee, on my lap. I'm just holding her and I'm stroking her hair and I'm telling her, like, you're not a failure. You're not a reject, or no one's better than you and you're not better than anyone else, but you don't need to go through that alone. Because I remember after all that happened, my mom was just kind of chilling in the kitchen. I don't remember if she said anything to like console me at the time, but I didn't really have anybody and I didn't know emotional processing back then, obviously, 5th grade. I had my cousin Jen and like love her to death, but we're 5th graders, bro. What else is she gonna say other than like, damn, that's crazy? And I hid and I buried the shame so far in me. That now every time I like a guy or I see a really attractive male out somewhere, I can't help but to take the idea of them and run with it. Because this feeling of fear and shame has stop me from approaching them or taking it to a different level. It's been so difficult. It was so difficult to deal with back then. My younger self will do anything to make sure it doesn't come up again, like create these self-sabotaging behaviors, thinking that she's protecting me, but she's not. Not anymore. And people say I don't believe in spirituality or crystals and tarot and zodiac signs, and I get that. I'll never force my beliefs onto someone else, but I will go and say that spirituality, at least for me, is understanding how everything overlaps and how everything connects. Whether you want to go ahead and say the zodiacs connect with the stars and the planets and our psyches and the way we act and move, but in this sense, my 5th grade self shows up in my almost 24-year-old self now. And that the way I learned to survive isn't the way I want to continue to live. And that I'm deserving of a soft, slow love. Something that the fantasies happen naturally and I don't have to create them to try and control the environment. But I'll only get there with the mental unraveling of all I've been taught. And that's why I say it's been an exhausting day. Because nothing about what I just said was easy, especially also having in the back of my mind that I'm about to put this out for the whole world to hear. There's a lot of judgment going on. But I want my younger self to know that we have learned so much over the last couple of years. And that we are always going to continue to learn. We get a rush out of it. Not as much as like hitting a crack pipe of a guy, but not literally. But throughout the course of the last few years, we've been working hard to not repeat old patterns. And, we created a beautiful platform to be heard and to be seen and to allow others to be seen through our stories. Mia, and that's not easy at all, but we do it. And then I promise to not let anything hurt us again as long as I can stop it. It comes with the understanding too that we can't walk through life expecting people not to hurt us. I think that's naive. I think people are gonna hurt us. I think there's a difference though with the intention. I think if we believe that people aren't gonna hurt us, it's hurting ourselves already. Because sometimes we do stupid shit without understanding that it's not our intention, but it makes other people feel pain. But as long as I can see the red flags, I promise not to ignore them anymore. And as long as I can communicate and feel what's going on in my body, I will, to make sure that we're heard and to make sure that you're seen so you don't have to suppress that pain and that shame anymore. Because I love you, Mia. That is so hard to say. Why is that? I'm laughing. I'm sorry. This is so awkward. Could you really have a raw and vulnerable conversation with your younger self and say that? Kudos to you if you can fucking do that, because man, I don't think I've ever actually said it and meant it before like the way I just did now. I could feel like I legit want to throw up right now. And I don't know if that's the Prosecco or the shame coming up out of my physical, out of my emotional body, out of my physical body. So yeah, that's what inner child healing looks like. You invite your younger self in regarding a topic or situation, or just invite them in to talk to them. Ask them if they know who you are. Ask them if they understand that you're them, but from the future, or an older version of themselves. Get to know them and tell them they're safe. Ask them to show you something. 10 times out of 10, you're gonna get brought back to a really traumatizing memory. Just a fair warning. Where all these uncomfortable feelings are gonna come up for you to address, but once you get on the other side of it, it feels really, really good. Because now you have this in the forefront of your brain going forward. When I go forward and I try to manifest money or a relationship, to understand that I don't have to do anything. I don't have to try and control or manipulate the outcome, that what's for me is going to be meant for me, and that I'm so worth it. I'm beyond worth it. And if they can't see it, that's okay. There's no need to hate them. There's no need to feel resentment. I'm sure I will. I'm fucking human. But we can just keep it pushing on to the next. There's 8 billion people out there, Mia. The way you love is proof that there's proof that the way you love is out there because of the way you love. So take heart and keep the faith. And cue up Miley Cyrus to climb. Bro, that shit is so real though. Like, there's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna want to make it move. I'm fucking tired, guys. Normally I would come in and joke about it and say like, oh, I'm tired of life, but no, after just doing that and after holding a mic in my hand and with the intention to put this out there for people, I don't know, I feel different. I feel good. I feel safe and happy, and like I can't breathe because my nose is really stuffed up right now. But I'm done. I got nothing else to say. I can go on, but I need some time alone now. So I love you guys so much. If you listen to this, I hope it meant as much as it did to me to you. And if you felt so inclined to do so, go ahead and leave me a comment, a review, a share. Tag me on your Instagram stories at Mia.Kerbaldi or at the Soul Wave Podcast. And alrighty, guys, I will catch you on the next wave. Bye.